a lot of things happening. Take care of your well.
A lot of things. Termites are coming out of the tree.
And I'm like clocking her. I'm like, she said she's making a cake.
I was asked to give Liz a lap dance.
On the day of the wedding, 1 hour before we're supposed to be at your ceremony.
Do we give Nat Zofran orally or rectally?
We're hungover.
So hungover.
Oh my gosh.
Bro, when are you gonna make the cake?
Like, there's 51 people here waiting for your cake.
Get rekindled and we're hitting on each other at our wedding.
Welcome to Wedding Wednesday, the podcast that's about to spill all the tea on what it's like to plan a wedding from the bride's perspective and all the details no one talks about. I'm creating the podcast I need to keep me sane and feeling less alone as I plan my own wedding. We're diving deep into the hilarious, messy, and sometimes crazy world of wedding planning and wedding horror stories. Get ready to laugh, cry, and maybe feel a little less alone in this wedding planning madness. Hello, welcome back to Wedding Wednesday. My name is Adriana, and today we have a really special guest, one of my good friends. Her name is Nat. She's going to tell us all the intricacies of what it was like to plan her destination wedding on a remote island without a wedding planner. Yes, you heard that correctly. So I'm really excited to dive into all the questions when it comes to the logistics of planning destination and all the things that come with that. Of course, she's also going to share her experience with what it was like planning her wedding. So with that, let's welcome Nat. Hi, Nat. How are you?
Hi, good. You?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today on Wedding Wednesday.
Of course.
Super excited. So why don't you start off by telling me and everybody else your love story with Liz? How did you guys meet?
Yeah, we met during COVID.
You did? Okay.
Yeah. I was in a relationship that I had no business being in.
Mm-hmm.
And a mutual friend of ours invited us both to a cottage.
Right, okay.
And we, beforehand, we were texting a little bit, and I asked her, hey, what's your favorite, drink? And she said a paper plane.
Which is your favorite drink.
Yeah. And I was like, hold on a minute. I don't know if our friend Pam told her beforehand, but I was like, okay, this is really weird. And it was a time that no one really knew what that cocktail was.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And then Pam had just passed her GMAT, so we were going to bring her a gift. And I said, I'm going to bring a bottle of champagne. And she's like, me too. And I was like, okay. And then long story short, we were there that weekend, and then 3 days after she told me she loved me. And then a few months after, I left the relationship I was in, and then we got married 3 years later.
Yeah. Fast.
Yeah.
But okay, let's backtrack a little bit. So you fell in love. What was the next step for you in your relationship? Did you guys move in together right away? What was that?
Yeah. Oh my God. We moved in with her family.
You moved here in Montreal?
No, in Edmonton.
Okay.
Liz was here during COVID doing medical school and her research. So because of COVID, actually, we met, because otherwise she wouldn't be in Montreal. Mm-hmm. So her research is in Montreal, but her family is out west in Edmonton. And at one point, she couldn't be remote any longer for her medical school. So it was either I stayed in Montreal, we weren't together, or I moved in with her and her 7 other family members.
I didn't know this, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So at what point did you both decide to come back?
I left after I had enough.
Fair enough.
And Liz stayed because she had to. She had to finish up medical school. So I lasted a year and a half in the house with everyone. There was 5 dogs, and we were a total of 9 people.
That's really really good.
Yeah. I mean, it had its ups and downs. And then, I feel like part of Liz's family, and they helped plan our wedding. So yeah, we're all quite close.
So tell us, when you both were ready to get engaged, how did that conversation come about?
It kind of was just very organic. Liz was very sure very early on. I was actually the first person she had introduced to her family that we were dating.
Okay.
And how she did that was in a very Liz way. We were going to Jasper. Mm-hmm. We were going to Banff with her whole family, and it was the first time I was meeting them.
Okay. This was before you decided to move in with her family?
Yes, okay. It was beforehand. So how I met them is Liz, I was just showing up, and Liz, right before the weekend, told them, or not even, I don't even think she had a conversation. I just was there.
Okay.
And then it was just like, everyone was understood that we were dating, except for her younger siblings, because Liz didn't tell anyone that she was dating a woman, because Liz is just like, well, she's just here. Like, it's obvious.
Yeah.
And the whole weekend that I was introduced to her family, her younger sister had no idea. And her younger sister, Angie's boyfriend, was there. And they were trying to figure out if we were actually dating, because she never told anyone.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm dead.
Yeah.
So how did you go from that to like you just showing up to meeting Liz's family to, okay, we're ready to get engaged and like plan a wedding and take that next step?
We bought rings very early on.
Okay.
And it was just, I was in a relationship beforehand for 4 years. And I never thought about getting married because I wasn't ready. And then as soon as I met Liz, I was like, okay,
ready.
So it was just automatic. We just
organic.
Knew. Yeah.
Amazing. So you chose to do destination.
Yes.
You get engaged. You're like, okay, we're going to do destination.
No, I don't know if that's how it went.
Okay, tell us how it went.
Liz hates people.
No, she doesn't.
She hates people. She'll tell you she hates people.
Does she really?
Yeah. She doesn't like people. And it's rubbed off a little bit on me, or that we're not as like friendly. So she doesn't like huge parties. She doesn't like being in a room with a lot of people. She doesn't like doing the schmoozing. So right away she told me, I don't want a big wedding. And I said, and I come from I'm an like Italian family. And okay. And she said, my parents have a house in the Bahamas. I want to do it there.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, whoa. Because I know that would mean that I would have to take on the responsibility of planning this wedding. And it's a lot. It was a full-time job.
For sure.
And it was still COVID. We didn't really see how we could have a big wedding.
Yeah.
And my grandmother's health was a concern because of COVID. And so I said, okay, let's do a wedding on a very remote island in like the middle of nowhere, Bahamas.
So you decide the remote island in the middle of nowhere in the Bahamas. What is the first thing that you're tackling when it came to planning that?
I didn't say yes at first because I had been there during COVID, and it was such a shit show.
Okay.
Because you had to have a negative test within 24 hours of traveling to the island, which means if you had a connecting flight, like it was very hard timing wise. It's a lot of money. And the first thing in order to say yes, was I need to figure out you have to take a plane. So how to get to the island is you go from Montreal, let's say most people, Montreal to Toronto to Nassau, as you know, and then Nassau to Long Island. So 3 planes.
3 planes, yeah.
And the plane from Nassau to Long Island is limited because it's an island of 3,000 people. It's 130 kilometers wide by 6 kilometers. And it was the small planes, so the planes from Nassau to Long Island, that was going to be the factor if we actually do this.
Yeah.
And as you know, as a guest at the wedding, the mechanics of managing getting 51 people on an island for the same day, it was insane.
For sure. So is that what you tackled first?
That was the first thing.
Trying to understand how to get people there.
Yeah. Through an Excel spreadsheet.
How did you do, like, because I put together an Excel spreadsheet for my wedding planning stuff, but like for destination, I would not know where to start. So where did you start on your Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah. So first, I put all of the guests down that I messaged, and they said like, yeah, they would come.
Okay.
So we had all of our guests down, and I invited my mother-in-law and Liz to this Excel spreadsheet. So it was online.
So they could see?
Yeah, so they could see and help. Tracy, my mother-in-law, helped a lot for the logistics of the small plane.
Yeah. Well, it was her house, so I'm sure she knew a lot more too.
Yeah, it was kind of fortunate enough. They just finished building it in like 2021. Liz and I actually went to the island in 2020. one or two and to help finish the house. So,
and then you guys got married in summer 2022, right?
Summer of 2023.
2023. Okay.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
2 years. Wow, it flies.
Yeah. So Excel spreadsheet, all the names, and then I had another tab was what is all of the crap that we need on the island to have a wedding.
Yeah. So how do you even start to build a list like that?
Yeah.
Are you brainstorming? Are you brain dumping? Like, how did you do that?
In an Excel spreadsheet, also made an Amazon, US Amazon account and just had everything in my cart.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but then this is a very remote island. 3,000 people live on this island. It is about an hour plane ride from NASA, which, and there's nothing on the island. There's a grocery store. It's like one of the smallest ones in Montreal. And how do you get fresh food, or how do you get all of the plates or a tent on the island? Like there's nothing on this island.
Not to mention that you're planning not only this for your wedding, but for the entire week that all of your guests are there.
And we have to go back that at first it was, okay, we're just doing a wedding. And then it just snowballed into, oh no, we're actually planning an all-inclusive 1 week vacation for 51 of our friends and family. Yeah. So it did snowball because I was at one point like, when do we stop? Like we wanted everyone to have fun and not worry about money. And it was either spend $100,000 on a wedding in Montreal or $100,000 at a wedding in the Bahamas.
Fair enough.
For a week. And then all of our friends have a week vacation. Yeah. So my mother-in-law was like, okay, I have shipped things to the house in the Bahamas beforehand using this logistics company. So we rented it started with it was going to be like a portion of a shipping container. It ended up being an entire shipping container.
Oh my God.
And it was a service that we would ship. It was alcohol from Costco liquor. So we were on Instacart and there's a maximum amount of weight that every Instacart person would take. So it was many, many orders of alcohol getting shipped to this company that would then package it all up nicely into a shipping container to go to the island.
Okay.
So it was us figuring out how many White Claws do we think on average one of our friends would drink, and we thought it was 3, but we were very wrong. White Claws was definitely something we didn't have enough of, but you can attest that we had enough alcohol.
You definitely had enough alcohol. I didn't I'm not a big drinker though. By day 3, I was like, I don't even want to look at alcohol. Like I need a break today.
Yeah. So everything. I came very acquainted with a store called Restaurant, restaurant supply store in the US. It's great. And that's where we ordered a lot of our plates.
Okay.
Our cutlery. Any of the little trinkets that were on the table. But again, we couldn't go to a store and like put it on a placemat and figure out if it looks good. So Liz would take the pictures and superimpose it on top of each other. And we're like, okay, we think that this looks okay.
That's smart. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And then we were also like, okay, what if it rains? Because we did get married in June. And it's possible that there's rain showers. There was on the morning of our wedding.
There was the morning. That's just a lot of things happened the day of your wedding.
Yeah, a lot of things happened.
We'll get into that. We will.
Yeah. So we wanted a tent. Okay. And Liz was like, I want a tent where you can see the stars. So she wanted a see-through tent.
Yeah.
Which is then plus money.
Did you get a see-through tent? No.
We did. You did? On the roof, yeah.
The roof, okay.
You could see the stars. She wanted to see the stars.
Well, she successfully saw the stars.
Yeah. And then it's like, do we rent a tent or do we buy a tent?
Yeah. Then who's going to put it up?
And then who's going to put it up? But it was renting the tent and getting it to the island. We'd have had to rent it for like 3 weeks. And at that point, we were at the price point of buying a tent. So we bought a tent from Fred's tent store in Florida.
Shout out to Fred's tent store.
Yeah. And shout out to Tracy who helped coordinate that as well. And now the tent is still in the Bahamas for anyone else who wants to get married at the
house.
Yeah.
At this point, you're like so in deep in you're like project management. It has to be project managed at this point, right? Did you think at any point like I can't do this? Like I need to get a planner.
Yes, I would have liked that to be a possibility, but there's There was no one.
Nobody was willing.
And we were also spending so much money already. We couldn't afford to hire a planner.
That on top.
But between Liz and I and Tracy, like her mother, we were the best.
Yeah.
And I took on a full-time job. The shipping company would email me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to send them invoices of what they were going to receive and when.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of all of that, the Bahamas, there's no personal or business income tax.
Mm-hmm.
They tax imports. So very high.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol is taxed at like 50%.
Wow, insane. And you're tracking all this on your Excel spreadsheet.
Correct.
And you're like, how, like, you started the Excel spreadsheet at what point in your planning journey?
Only 5 months beforehand.
And it like carried you through up until?
It carried, yes, up until the day everyone was arriving, which was, we got married on June 18th. June 17th, June 16th, 17th, most people arrived on the island.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought we had it all figured out. We had to take everyone's weights because these planes are very small. There's 12 people. Or a plane of between 6 to 12 people, depending on which one everyone took. And there was a deletion of a cell from my mother-in-law.
By accident.
By accident. There was something that was moved around. And it was Liz's dad who had to kind of stay back on NASA because he wasn't like he's like a 300-pound man, and we couldn't fit him on one of the planes because we didn't account for him on one of the planes. So that's why
I witnessed.
You witnessed this happen.
I witnessed this happen where he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try and get on this plane, but like if I can't, like I'll just stay one night and then I'll get the next plane or whatever." But it was because of the Excel.
It was because of the Excel.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. I didn't notice that a cell or a row was accidentally deleted. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that's why because otherwise we would have accounted for him and there would have been space.
Right.
And he was really great about it.
He really was, actually, yeah.
So we were very thankful that he was okay to stay one night in NASA.
But he stayed as well. I feel like he stayed with two people. I don't think was he by himself?
No, he was by himself.
He was by himself. Okay. But he still made it on time for the wedding and everything.
He still did. Everyone made it on time, which is actually insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
51 people coordinating. It's also, we're not the only ones going to the island, but we had to hire all these planes. They were all for us.
Yeah. So how did you even go about doing that? Like there's an airline that you can ask to like book all these planes for a certain amount of guests.
Yeah. So I became very good friends with Marty Fox, who owns his own Island Wings charter company.
I think he was on who flew us.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he was great.
He's great. I want to fly to the island with him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Marty Fox. There is Bahamas Air, which is not the most reliable. And then there's another smaller charter as well. So we knew about this because of having to get to the island previously for previous family vacations. And Tracy knew about it as well. So she was able to help coordinate. But it was not enough in advance that we booked these seats.
Mm-hmm.
But we were able to figure it out. And all the pilots know each other, as you saw.
Yeah.
So 3 companies, we were able to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah. We all got there in one piece and we all left in one piece. It was all good.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, how did you figure out the food? Because you had food every breakfast, every lunch, I want to say.
Every lunch, every dinner.
Every dinner.
Yeah.
Alcohol on rotation.
All inclusive.
It was an all inclusive.
Yeah, it was an all inclusive. We really just wanted, because it was expensive to stay on the island at the hotel, and we really wanted to drive down the expenses, especially like 2 years ago. A lot of our friends were not as like progressed in their careers. So again, it became, how do we figure out how many eggs someone is going to eat every day?
Yeah.
So we figured on 2 eggs.
Yeah.
2 eggs times 51 people.
Yeah.
Then it varied. Some people left earlier.
Yeah.
So we also had a head count for every single day, how many people were going to be on the island.
Yeah.
And we started
Was all this in an Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah, it was all in the Excel spreadsheet. It started 4 days before our wedding up until
a week after.
Yeah,
with
so
the
that's
Sunday.
when it started. So it was
Yeah.
actually more than 7 days that we were feeding many people.
Yes.
And you can't obviously put perishable food in a shipping container that's going to take 2 weeks to get to the island. So we had a special order on a boat come for our wedding. And it was an insane amount of eggs, so much milk, the alcohol was in the shipping container. The whole garage of their house was a bar.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And anyone could go in and grab a drink.
Yeah.
But
It was like an elevated house party, all inclusive,
Yeah.
all in one.
yeah, that's what we really wanted. We really wanted no one to worry about anything, especially food, because we have been there where we haven't had food or didn't have a working car to go to the grocery store to get food. So it was really important to us to provide all meals. And
Then how did you coordinate the chef who came in and did all that?
so Fiona,
Fiona.
Fiona takes
She
care.
was great.
Yes, she's amazing, and her whole family.
They were all great.
So we did have help. Obviously, we could not cook the entire time for everyone, or Tracy and Suki, so Liz's mom and dad, were the ones who did breakfast a lot of the time to allow Fiona
A break.
She did lunch and dinner. And so her whole family takes care of the house in the Bahamas. And she's a chef, a trained chef. It's really fortunate that we had someone reliable
Really, yeah.
to cook for us. And it was great. So she came in for 2 meals every day.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the food went to her house. And so her mom actually like helps her prep all the food. And it was like a whole family affair for Fiona and her family. And they were amazing. Their food was good.
It was so good.
Yeah.
No, really, it was so good, and the ingredients were so fresh. Would not like change anything about what she did. It was really good and creative. Like she was switching it up every meal was different.
So and that became I gave her a list of what we wanted each day, and we also had to make sure that it was something that everyone would eat. But yeah, we had to plan that all out too. Plan out that we had enough food for all the ingredients that she needed to provide for 30 plus people most days.
Amazing. So this is all the logistics. We're finally there. We touched down in Bahamas. It's so beautiful. Tell us like what the days were like leading up to the big day.
Yep. Yeah. So very fortunate that we were there a month before our wedding. Yeah. Because we needed to be there a month before.
For sure. Okay.
To start receiving the stuff in the shipping container.
Right.
Which was piled like all the way high to the ceiling of the garage. And we had to sift through it all, unpackage it all, make sure nothing was broken. Some stuff was broken.
For sure.
Which we then had to try and figure out if we could get replacements to the island. But we had 2 friends come with us a month before the wedding to help us prep. And so Nick and Jazz are 2 friends. Nick is so handy. And we didn't have, it was a do-it-yourself wedding, right? Like we made our own signs. We made our own large Jenga for on the beach. And the wedding arch. Yeah. So we were like, how can we make a wedding arch and put it on the beach?
Yeah.
So we needed a big enough piece of driftwood.
Yeah.
And we walked the beach. There's many vacant lots at the time next to my mother-in-law and father-in-law's house. So we found a dead tree. And we're like, okay, with pretty much like butter knives would have been better. We had really not sharp saws, and it was 40 degrees out.
Yeah.
And the tree, we started sawing it, and then termites are coming out of the tree.
No.
Yeah, termites and ants.
Oh, no.
And we didn't really prepare for this, but we were already there and we were committed.
Yeah.
So we took our shirts off. We each took turns and we put our shirts on our heads.
Yeah.
So that the termites wouldn't fall into our hair. Because we were just sawing like this. And so we each took turns, and someone would go into the shade because it was 40 degrees.
Yeah.
And we were sawing off the driftwood
Yeah.
for the arches.
Yeah.
And that's how it came to be.
Oh my
But
goodness.
we needed to drown
the termites.
Yep. And so we found some rope and then we put it around the driftwood, attached it to a rock, and it was in the water in the ocean
For how many days?
for like 2 days. We want to make sure they were real dead.
Yeah. And all this to make your arch.
All this, yeah. Nick was amazing, and I said this is what I wanted, and he made it happen.
You made it happen.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm delivering for you. It looked beautiful. It really did.
Yeah, it really came together. Even the flowers, we were like, oh my God, what are we going to do for flowers? It was June, flowers die in the heat. Like, it's 40 degrees out.
It was hot and humid.
Yeah. So Liz found a fake florist, like fake flowers, and it was going to be much cheaper than if we got fresh flowers from Florida. So we imported those from BC.
Okay. And you did your bouquet with the fake flowers too.
Yep.
Okay.
Even on the arches, it looks, I don't know if we can pop up some pictures.
Yeah, we can pop out some pictures. Why not?
It looked like it was real.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It did. I don't remember them looking fake but now they make them look super real.
Yeah.
So yeah. Wow. Amazing. When it came to like the night before, we were partying every night pretty much.
Yeah.
So the night before, it's like we were like so excited for the next day that we went hard the night before.
Well, I'll just back up a little bit. So when we were planning, I was like, okay, we need to plan activities every day.
Yeah.
I want to plan really fun activities that everyone, so it's not just on the wedding day that everyone's together, but every day where there's something available for people to do and hang out together. And there's this really fun cave party that you can like host on the island in an actual cave. And I was like, I was not for having it the night before our wedding. I thought that people would get drunk and maybe be very hungover for our wedding. And my mother-in-law and Liz were like, no, we want to do it the night before because we can control the alcohol consumption, and it's a hard stop at 11 p.m.
Yeah, and I remember I think we were only allowed 2 drinks or something like that at the cave party.
We gave you 2 drinks for like tickets, but you could buy more.
Oh, okay.
So
is that what she meant by she thinks she could control by the tickets?
I think they're just like because we had to stop at 11 and it couldn't keep going on.
Okay, fair enough.
But jokes on them, everyone showed up drunk. Already.
Yeah.
So it kind of backfired a little bit, but it was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was like 45 degrees in a cave. There were small fire pits everywhere to deter the bugs.
Yeah.
Bugs were actually one of my biggest concerns for our wedding.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it was humid.
Because they bite and they can be a huge pest. And I wanted our guests to also just enjoy their time and not be itching all the time. But so cave party, it got to a point where I got drunk, or before that I wasn't drunk enough, and one of my best friends asked the DJ to play Pony. I don't remember this.
Yeah, of course, I was there.
And the song Pony is 5.5 minutes long?
No, I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, it's that long because the DJ kept it on for the entirety of the song. And I was asked to give Liz a lap dance.
Yeah. Who asked you that?
It was Alyssa.
Okay.
It was, so my best friends at the time asked me to just go and like give Liz a lap dance. Like she'll love it. I was not drunk enough at this point. Liz was definitely not. And Liz hates being in the spotlight and having all of the attention on her. And all of our friends and family are around us, and I'm like, give Liz a lap dance. And what am I going to do? Say no?
Well, you could have said,
I could have said no, but I was pretty committed. So for me to be comfortable enough to give her a lap dance, I don't know if you remember this, she's like blind as a bat. So she has got like her glasses.
Yeah.
I took her glasses off of her, put them on me, because then I couldn't see anyone around while I was giving Liz a lap dance.
Oh my gosh. Because it's intimidating to give somebody a lap dance in front of all of your friends and family.
Yeah. So, but
it was one of the highlights of the trip.
It was. The cave party was so much fun. The DJ was great.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law, she was wearing all white. She fell into a fire pit.
She did? I didn't see that.
She did. She's going to love me saying this. She did. She was quite, it's funny. She was drunk.
Yeah.
And,
well, but first of all, the heat plays into it.
Yeah.
And it was so hot.
Yeah.
Like, so it just amplified everybody's like drunkenness. So I'm not even surprised. What about your family? Like, were they?
Yeah. So my parents have been divorced since I was 14. So like 15 years. And or they hadn't seen each other, been in the same room for 15 years.
Wow. Okay.
My mom and dad.
Right.
15 years.
Wow.
So that was probably another like worry of ours, or it could have gone like bad.
Yeah.
They did not separate amicably.
Okay.
But jokes on us. They rekindled and were hitting on each other at our wedding.
Wait, are they back together?
No, they're not back together
Okay.
yet. But every time they see each other, they're pretty close.
They rekindled.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
But another person that got drunk the night before our wedding, well, myself and my twin brother. And after the cave party, I was cleaning up my brother's puke the night before our wedding. Yeah.
Where did he puke?
At one of the houses that we rented.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So the night before was crazy. So that means you wake up the morning of your wedding. How are you feeling, Nat?
Did you see me?
No, you were like...
You only came after when I was okay.
After. Yeah.
This is great.
I only came for the wedding.
Okay.
Antoine was there because he was in the wedding party.
Yeah.
But I was like... I was trying to figure out something else. Do you remember what happened that... I don't know if you remember.
Oh, yes. Well, you can tell it. On the day of the wedding.
On the day of the wedding, 1 hour before we're supposed to be at your ceremony.
Yep.
I'm with my roommates. Antoine's already ready and with you. I'm with my roommates. We're supposed to get ready and the water doesn't work. The water shut off.
There was no water left.
The
Cape, the resort that everyone was staying at.
Yeah. So, but you guys had water?
We had water because the house collects rainwater and there was a cistern under the house.
Okay.
But it also was a worry if the house was going to have enough water for all 18 people that were staying in the house.
Yep. And everybody needed to shower and all those things. So we were like, well, what are we going to do? I guess we'll just like and it was super hot anyway. Like by default, we were just sweating at all times anyway. So we were like, it's whatever. Like if we don't get to shower before, it is what it is. Regardless, we're going to be sweaty anyway. So then I don't know what happened. Do you know what happened? Like how did they get the water back on time?
Yeah. So they got a truck, water, like a tanker to come in.
The guy though they had to go get the guy who was at church because it was a Sunday.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that was a big no-no that we were getting married on a Sunday because everyone wasn't available to help out for the wedding. But because no one works on Sundays.
Case in point. Yeah. You have no water. Well, the guy's at church, like he can't help you.
Yeah. So they got a tanker to come in just in time for everyone to take a shower to come to our wedding.
Yes.
But it was hours that no one had water.
Yeah, we didn't have water for quite a few hours. But we were, when you're on vacation, you're on island time too. We were like, haha, this is so funny.
Yeah. Well, island time. Oh my God. Do we ever owe that? Because if you ask for someone to come for noon to do something, they might show up the next day.
Yeah, it's true. But they knew it's 3,000 people island. Like they know you have your wedding.
Well, the entire island knew that we were getting married.
Exactly.
Because we hired a lot of people on the island to help us out.
Yeah.
For the day of serving and drinks and yeah.
So at least I feel like that's probably what got them to be like, okay, let me go fix this.
Yeah. Or, well, so we were fine at the hell, or I wasn't fine. Everyone else was fine. But Liz was so happy. There's pictures of this and maybe we can pop some up, but there's just pictures of me on my wedding day.
Yeah.
I'm face down on a couch, on multiple couches.
You were hungover.
So hungover.
Oh my gosh.
Face down. I was so nauseous. I just kept throwing up. I couldn't stop.
You were throwing up?
I was throwing. I could not stop.
I thought you just felt sick.
No. I could not stop throwing up until 2 p.m.
But you were in a house full of doctors.
Right. So we were in a house full of doctors. So then luckily, one of our friends is an anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
And she brought syringes of Zofran. So this liquid medication that they give cancer patients like undergoing chemo for their nausea. So
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. Okay. So she has a syringe of Zofran. And then all of the physicians, so Liz's mom and dad, who are physicians, and herself, they proceed to have like a case study of how they're going to administer the Zofran to me because they were concerned I couldn't keep anything down. So if they gave it to me orally, that I might not be able to keep it down. So it was, do we give Nat Zofran orally or rectally? And then, so another one of our friends, Pam, she was there to witness all of this, and she was really helping me through to try and feel better.
Yeah.
She was like, I'll do it. She was like,
Wait, she's a doctor?
No, she's not. But she was like, Liz should not be administering anything to Nat on her wedding day.
Agreed.
Rectally. So she's like, I'll do it. She was so excited. She was like, I want to put this up Nat's butt. so excited. And
so they did?
No,
she did.
They decided that she could probably shoot in the back of my throat and it would be fine. So Liz was so over me at this point. She's like, you just need to feel better.
Yeah.
But then she was also thankful because I wasn't like Bridezilla and micromanaging everyone. So she kind of is like, it's really good. You were useless, but because they had to set up the whole tent and all the tables and the aisle and all the flowers. So they gave it to me orally. I perked up enough to then get my hair done, but I was like mute for a long time. I couldn't even talk because I just wanted to throw up. And
the Zofran ended up helping.
It helped so much. And at one point, there's a picture of me with like a bag of Doritos and my sunglasses on. I did not look cute getting ready. All of my pictures getting ready were not cute.
Okay.
But I definitely turned it around. They pushed the wedding back an hour because of this.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was because of the water.
No, it was because of me.
Oh my
Because I was so hungover.
Yeah.
And and then that also meant that everyone started drinking an hour beforehand and we're in the sun. So everyone also got very drunk at our wedding day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had 2 shots of again, I'm a lightweight, I'm not a big drinker. 2 shots of limoncello. I was out on the couch. Like, I could not. But I have to tell you, your cake.
Oh my God. Okay, the vendors. Right. Our friends. Oh my God. So we were also like, okay, we want a wedding cake. I don't trust anyone on the island. They don't make good dessert. Like, love the food on the island. No good dessert.
Yeah.
I also was like, what about pictures? I want a photographer.
Yeah.
And also, what about hair and makeup?
Hair and makeup. How did you fly everybody over?
Right.
Or like, how did you coordinate that?
So we're so fortunate that some of our best friends are a hairdresser.
Yeah.
A photographer.
Yep.
And also
a baker.
And part-time baker and engineer.
Yeah.
So shout out to Tosh and Jesse. Their pictures were amazing. The video
really were.
The video was amazing.
Yes.
So we had a videographer, a photographer for friends. And our friend Britt made an amazing cake. She started making that 2 days before the wedding.
Did she?
Yeah.
Nat, I have to tell you my perspective on her cake for a second, okay? She said the day before your wedding, she was saying all day, I gotta make the cake at some point today. 9 p.m. rolled around, and I'm like clocking her. I'm like, she said she's making the cake.
She left the cake party early with Pam to go back for the cake.
Yeah, so at around 9 p.m., she starts to make the cake.
Yeah.
Maybe this was 2 days before.
No, it was 2 days before.
There was a day in particular that she said all day, I have to make the cake. And she waited until 9 p.m. And I'm looking at her all day like, bro, when are you going to make the cake? Like, there's 51 people here waiting for your cake.
Yeah.
Finally, she makes the cake. And, she just pulled up a recipe she just looked up a recipe.
Yeah. So
randomly, she makes the cake.
Yeah.
Hold on. The next day, when we finally get to eat this cake, it is the best cake I have ever eaten in my life.
I know.
I don't even know what it was. It was so good.
Yeah.
So clearly her strategy of doing it at 9 p.m. and pulling up a random recipe worked because it was unbelievable how good it was.
Yeah. She was so stressed.
I'm sure. She didn't look it though.
No, she kept it in her wraps. That was another thing that I had to procure all of the ingredients for was the cake.
Yeah.
So I asked her, I said, Britt, like, what do you need to make a cake? And it was everything.
Yeah.
Like, all of the sizes of pans, a flour sifter. Like, we spent a lot of money just on stuff for the cake.
Yeah.
And then also to decorate it.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, Nat, like, I think I'm going to go with this, like, creme brulee recipe. And we're like, great.
It was unbelievable.
It was so good.
Yeah, it was so good.
We didn't have like enough of it.
Yeah. We ate it the next 2 days. Like there was a little bit left after. And we were just like looking forward to eating it all week.
It was so good. It was beautiful too.
It really was. Overall, your wedding was amazing. It went off with a couple hitches, but it's okay. Like a couple things happened here and there, but we had such an amazing day overall. Let's maybe close out our episode today with a little game of red flag, green flag, where I give you a couple scenarios and you say, is it a red flag or a green flag?
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Red flag, green flag. Your caterer refuses to do a tasting before you sign the contract.
Red flag.
Do you know that we signed a contract with that?
No.
Yep. But we've eaten at this venue twice. And that was the only consolation.
Okay.
But otherwise, yeah. Red flag, green flag. Your best friend assumes they're the maid of honor without asking.
Oh my God, that's such a red flag.
I think so too.
I think I had a few friends. Yeah, at my wedding, it was like, at what point do I stop? Because it was all of our closest, like 22 friends. Like, congrats, you guys made it.
Thank you so much.
But it was like, where do we? All of our friends could have been in our wedding party.
Yeah. No, you have to draw the line eventually. Red flag, green flag. I guess RSVPs for extra people without asking.
Red flag.
Yeah, 100% red flag.
Especially weddings are so expensive. There was one person at our wedding we hadn't met.
Who?
Yeah.
Just like say who, like in relation to who?
Friend's boyfriend.
Okay.
And that was a huge red flag. I don't know about you guys. Are you gonna have anyone that you haven't met?
Yeah. But Antoine's like, there's some people on Antoine's side that I haven't met. But I think by the time the wedding comes, I will have met them.
Yeah.
Yeah. On my side, I don't know. I don't think so.
But imagine 51 people, one person you... Yeah.
At our engagement party, there was one person we hadn't met. And it was a like last minute, hey, can I bring my new girlfriend? Mm-hmm. We didn't even know he was dating somebody. Mm-hmm. We said, yeah, like, you know, you want to be with your significant other. And then he did ask. So we were like, sure. But it happens. Like, it happens. Mm-hmm. One more to close things out. Your partner wants to DIY the wedding flowers to save money.
Absolutely. Green flag.
I think it's a green flag too.
I love that. I mean, Liz championed that for us and so thankful.
Yeah.
And you know what? We have $3,000 flowers that anyone can use again and again.
True.
You can even sell them on Facebook.
That's true. 100%.
But no, 100% save the money. Yeah. If someone's willing to do it, do it.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for talking through destination wedding planning. Tell everybody where they can connect with you.
You can connect with me on Instagram, natsab007. I'm also a tutor for university students at JMSB. Mm-hmm. You can add me on Facebook. Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
And maybe you can even look at Tosh and his Instagram.
Tosh will put his stuff on the screen. Tosh, shout out to Tosh.
Yeah, shout out to Tosh.
You really did shoot your wedding beautifully.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys have any crazy horror stories you'd like us to read on the pod, feel free to email it at hello@weddingwednesdaypod.com. Of course, rate, review, subscribe, do all the things because it really does help our podcast grow. And with that, we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.